Hey, you ready to get started?
Mm-hmm. We certainly can.
Hello, welcome everyone. We are really excited to have you here for our session about finding your passion and purpose. Hope you all are just as excited. I'm going to give it a minute and allow folks to get situated from the waiting room. It looks like we have a few people hopping on. But again, we're thankful that you all chose to join us this afternoon. Right. Well, it looks like everyone is in from the waiting room, but I want to welcome you again. My name is India Brunson. I'm a program manager here at Forte. Really excited for you all to be joining us for our third summer workshop series. So it's really exciting to be able to host these workshops to share some insightful information with you all. Just a couple of things. You are on mute as of now and will not be able to unmute until we get to a place in the presentation where we're asking for feedback or we're opening it up for question and answer, just so that we don't have any background noise during the presentation. But please feel free to engage in the chat. If you have questions, feel free to put them there and we'll get to them at some point during the presentation. Feel free to drop in the chat your LinkedIn or where you're from, so that folks can connect with you. Without further ado, I wanted to go ahead and pass it over to Mr. Sixton to get us started on our presentation for today.
Awesome. Good evening. Thank you so much, India. Good evening and welcome to this evening's presentation, which is going to be about finding your passion and purpose for your career, how to own your path. So if you can just take one word to describe how you're feeling today, just drop it in the chat just to get the energy out and see how we're doing. Tired. Yes, I know that feeling sometimes. Normal. Hopeful but nervous, overcomer. I love it. So continue to think about how you're feeling. Hopefully, after today's presentation, you will not feel as overwhelmed. And this is a way for us to just take some time to reflect and think about a little bit who we are and what we want to do. So I am Alandria Dixon. I am actually a Forte alum from the University of Michigan when I completed my MBA program and graduated in the class of 2009. And I'm very excited to talk to you today about how to find your passion and purpose and how to align that with your career. Today, we're going to cover a few different things, and this will be a very interactive session, opportunity for you to ask questions, to reflect, and to participate in a few polls with us. So we're going to talk about why passion and purpose matter. You may have heard about purpose and calling and what the difference is between those two, how to align all of those with your career, how to discover your spark, and I'll give you a little tools to talk about how you can find your way in this journey. So this again is an opportunity for you to learn and explore and ask questions, and we're going to chat about how to find your passion and purpose. So let me tell you a little bit about me and my story. So, I am a Georgia native. I moved to the Atlanta area when I was about 5 years old. Grew up in an area called South Fulton. And I participated in activities such as Girl Scouts, cheerleading, orchestra, um, and had just a great experience in school. When it came time for me to decide where I wanted to go to college and what I wanted to do, I'll be very honest, I had no idea. I just knew that I really enjoy math and science, and I wanted to follow in my stepdad's footprints and go to major in computer engineering. So I went to Georgia Tech and majored in computer engineering, started in that, but eventually changed over to electrical engineering. And I got my degree in electrical engineering. Now, while I did not end up practicing engineering as a profession, it was a great opportunity for me to learn skills that I still use today, such as analytical skills, problem solving, and really thinking about how to approach things from a different angle, and being very analytical. After I graduated from Georgia Tech, I went to the Weather Channel. That is where I did my internship. I participated in a program called En-ROADS. And every summer that I was in college, I interned at the Weather Channel. And so moving there after college was just an easy transition for me. I went into a project management role where I worked on many software and technology related projects, and also working on the rebrand of the logo to the one that you see here now. That was one of my favorite projects that I worked on while I was there. But after being there for about 4.5 years, I realized that I wanted to supplement my experience with more business knowledge. And so I decided to enroll in the MBA program. Weather was not a factor in terms of my decision. All the schools that I applied to and was accepted to were in the North. And I eventually accepted and decided to go to the University of Michigan. It was a great experience. I was able to study marketing and strategy. I was able to study abroad, have many different opportunities to really kind of figure out what I wanted to do. I did my internship in marketing. I did some special projects in HR because that was an interest of mine. And so eventually, once I graduated, I landed in a marketing role at Procter and Gamble. Well, I was able to work on very cool brands such as the Clairol brand and have my face on a hair color box. I worked on some feminine care brands. And it was a great experience, really being able to bring my problem solving that I got from engineering and my marketing skills that I learned in my MBA. But then I got homesick. So I decided I wanted to move back to Atlanta. So I came back to Atlanta and landed at UPS. And while I was at UPS, I worked in a marketing role. And so that role was really focused on technology marketing. How can we market to our technology customers? But I will be honest with you, at that time, UPS was a very male-dominated organization, and being a woman in business, I had to learn and understand how to find my voice and how to use that. And that is when I discovered that I was really interested and I was passionate about helping other women find their voice and empowering them and empowering girls to do the same. And so, after a very short tenure there, I landed at the Broad Residency in Urban Education, which allowed me to move into a youth development space, working at the school district that I actually grew up in. I did marketing and communications with them. Once my residency was over, I found my place at Girl Scouts. This was like coming full circle. I was a Girl Scout growing up, as I said. I am passionate about empowering women and girls. And the opportunity came for me to use all of my experiences in marketing and leadership, analytical and problem solving skills, where I came and I started in a role leading our product programs, which in the real world means the Girl Scout cookie program and our retail operations. I just recently got a promotion to Chief Revenue Officer, and I'm very excited about that because now I can add fundraising to my toolkit and continue to further our mission. And so that has been an opportunity for me to practice and to lean into my passion for empowering women and girls, but then also what I believe is my purpose as well. Personally, my husband and I, we got married in 2020. I am a COVID bride. Long story, but to make it short, I will share that we ended up getting married. We still had the same venue and all of our plans that we initially had, just fewer people, and it was a great day. I have a daughter. She is 15 months. She came into this world last April, and she is a future Girl Scout, and she has brought us so much joy to our family. So that's a little bit about me and my path and how I got to where I am. So before we get started today, I would like to do a quick poll just to see where we are get a pulse of the room, and get an understanding. So when you hear the words purpose, passion, and calling, let us know your first reaction. You can join this Menti poll at the code at the top or scan that QR code on the side and answer the question here. And hopefully the results, will pop up here in the Mentimeter. I'm getting ready to pull them up now. Well, you should be able to see them. Here we go. So everybody can see my screen. So when you hear the words purpose, passion, and calling, what's your first reaction? Somebody has to see the code again. Absolutely. And it's actually better here. So let me do it here. Helping others, equity and advocacy. Great. Meant to be. You can even say, Miss Dixon, I have no idea. What are you going to share with me today? That's fine for your reaction as well. Drive. Responsibility. Social impact. Hey. Freedom. Finding my life's why and what makes me sustainably happy. Confusion, because how do I figure that out? That is a great question. And that's why we're here. Hopefully I can give you just a little bit more clarity so that you can understand how to figure it out. What is at the core of your soul? Okay, I'm going to let one more come through and then we're going to move forward. See if there's one more. All right, core motivator. So those are all great responses. So let's talk about that a little bit more. So we're going to talk about passion and purpose and why they both matter. So passion is what gives you energy. When you think about passion, you think about things that you really enjoy. What is going to make you excited? What makes you want to get up every day? Things that you feel like you can do anytime if there was no end to money or time. Sometimes people are passionate about things such as the arts or outdoors or health and fitness or technology. Those can be passions. Um, but then your purpose is all about kind of your values. When you think about your purpose, it is why are you here? And what kind of impact do you want to make in the world? And so I know at your where you are right now, that may seem like a very big question, and that is fine. But if you just think about the things that really drive you internally and what makes you feel like you, and what do you want to do, that is how you can find your purpose. So, for example, one of my purposes I feel is to empower others. I probably did not know that when I was in college, and I really did not discover that until I got further in my career. But I've been able to do that. One of the things I did know very early on when I was in college is that I feel like I really enjoyed and I had a purpose, and something that I wanted to make an impact was on making things better. And I believe that is the engineer in me, where you come in and you're able to problem solve and you figure out how to make something a little bit better. And that is still something that I do to this day when it comes to my purpose. If you're able to find that intersection between your passion and your purpose, that's where you have your sweet spot. That's a good thing. If you find things that align and then match with both. So, for example, with me, when I look at my passion, I'm passionate about empowering women and girls, but I also believe one of my purposes is to empower others. And so there is an alignment with those two. And that's where I've been able to dig deep and go a little bit further in that purpose of empowering others. If you don't have anything that matches between the two, that's fine. It's not a problem. It just means that you have a lot of opportunity to explore and to continue. So let's take a moment to think about our passions. What do you like to do? What do you think drives you every day to get up? When you think about where you want to be and the impact that you want to make, what is that? Take a moment to write that down, and we'll come back and reflect on that just a little bit. So there is a difference between a purpose and a calling. For the longest of time, I thought they were the same thing. You know, you people hear people say, "Oh, I found my calling in this," but they are completely different. As I mentioned before, your purpose is kind of why you exist. It's based on your values and is rooted in impact. So the impact that you want to have, what is the difference that you want to make? So for example, your purpose could be to empower others to grow. But your calling is different from that. Your calling is more about your vocation, your role, your job. What are you going to do to live out that purpose? So, for example, if your purpose is to empower others to grow, your calling could be teaching or coaching or being a mentor or even setting up, um, you know, tools and technologies for people to be able to learn. So those are different ways that you can live that out. So your calling doesn't have to be something that is the same. It can change over time. And I'll talk to you about that when I share my story. You heard my story. I moved from project management to marketing to now nonprofit leadership. And so I've been able to have all these different roles, but still doing the same thing that I really care about, which is to make sure that others are growing and also that I leave things better than where I found them. So I'm going to take a moment and see if we have any comments or questions in the chat. Thank you. Thank you so much, Destiny. I appreciate that. So let's go forward and let's do another poll. So this time we are going to talk about purpose. So when you think about the word purpose, what is one word that you would associate with purpose? What do you think that means? The Menti code is at the top, and you can use the QR code on the side of the screen. Reason, meaning. Got it. Motivation, drive, vision, goal. I love it. Okay, so it looks like the responses have slowed down a little bit. India, I'm going to take this as a moment to see if there are any questions anybody wants to ask me out loud.
So yeah, you should be able to unmute if you would like to, if you have any questions.
We've got a few more responses coming up, but it looks like people are really um, believing in the meaning and when they think about purpose. And so that means, your meaning, your existence. I love it. Are there any questions that anyone has that anybody would like to come off mute? Uh-oh, she says she can't unmute. If you want to put your question in the chat, I can definitely be sure to answer it.
And Destiny, maybe try again. See if you can unmute now. There you go. It looks like you're unmuted, Destiny, but we can't hear you. If you just want to put it in the chat, we can answer it that way.
Okay, while she's getting her question, let's move forward and I will check in.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, there she go. There you go.
I forgot to switch the sound of it. Here it is. Okay. The question I had was as far as the creative, when you think about purpose, one of the other thoughts that came to my mind was that it's connected to creativity, like creating your purpose. So the question I had was, what are some of the creative aspects of purpose that come to your mind when you think about it?
Yes, so, it all goes back to what drives you, what do you believe in? And so for me, when I think about some of the creative things about purpose, there's creativity in everything. Creativity doesn't have to necessarily be arts related. Creativity can be innovation. It could be coming up with new things. It could be building new processes. It can be, seeing the transformation of one person, gaining their confidence to another. And so those are all ways to think about creativity. So when I think about, creativity in terms of the things that I believe are my purpose, being able to empower others. And I think about our Girl Scouts, you typically have girls who start when they are 5 years old as daisies, and they complete the program when they are seniors in high schools. And the journey of them gaining their confidence and their ability to speak to people and speak up for themselves, there is creativity in that because there is a lot of transformation that's happening in their development and being able to see themselves and really become a more confident person. I wouldn't say a better person, a more confident person. And so that is one way that you can think about creativity. It's about how are you making something different. So it's not always like, arts related, because that's how some people think about, oh, I'm not creative, so that, but creative isn't
Oh,
necessarily always
yeah.
about the arts. It can be about, what changed in your process of doing something.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't have to just be limited to artistic creativity. It could be all kinds of different types of creativity. I think even scientists, they could be creative when they're finding solutions to problems, like engineering, like what you experienced.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that question. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. So we're going to talk about how to align your passion and purpose with your career. So let's take me, for example. You see me, I, was on this magazine when Georgia Tech magazine did, alumni magazine did a feature on me back in 2023. I was so honored for this. And they talked about how, I'm a tech grad who is leading the charge in the Girl Scouts of Greater Atlanta's cookie program. And how did I get here, right? And how did I end up there? And if I were to really kind of break down all of the three things that we've talked about, this is how. So when I look at my passions, I am passionate about a lot of things. I'm passionate about girl and women empowerment. I like health and fitness. I like wellness and beauty, technology, my family, travel. Those are all things that I am passionate about. They give me energy. They make me excited every day. If I can do this all the time without getting paid for it, I would be happy. But then, when I think about what do I want to do and what is the difference that I want to make, again, I did not know some of these things when I was in college. It wasn't until I got further in my career that I realized that I wanted to empower others, that I wanted to, be able to build strategies that drives growth and innovation. But I did know when I was in school that I wanted to always make things better. Like I said before, I wanted to be able to improve things. That's the engineer in me. How do you process, improve everything that you do? And so that's people, myself, organizations. And so that was something that I knew. But then I've been able to live that out over various callings. I've shared before, now I'm chief revenue officer. I've done some strategy work. I was in marketing. I'm in nonprofit leadership. I've had many callings over the years, but they all go back to, that purpose. And so I'm able to empower others through leadership. Leadership doesn't have to be, I'm a manager. You can be a mentor, and could be a way that you can live out your calling. And so there are different ways to do that. And also you can change them over time in your career. Who knows, this is going to be the end game for me. The good thing about life is that there are different opportunities for you to continue to reinvent yourself. But if I stay true to the things that I'm passionate and that I care about and that I'm purposeful in doing so, I'll be able to find that happiness. I can do these same callings in any of these things that I'm passionate about as well. I can also do these callings and things that I'm not passionate about. So I can, work for an organization that is, maybe focused on healthcare or insurance or even finance. And I could still live out my purpose, which may be to empower others. And I can do that by leading the women's business group or being a mentor or even serving on the board of a nonprofit such as Girl Scouts. So there are multiple ways that you can do that. And I want to make sure you know that it doesn't have to always fit where you work for an organization that fits in your passion. I just got lucky where that happened for me like that. And so, but at the end of the day, as long as you know what you like and why you want to do certain things, what you're valued for, you'll be able to find that happiness and that clarity in your career. So I want to take an opportunity to just talk to you about what are some things that you are interested in. Um, Being where you are right now in school, you may be thinking that your major is where you want to land, or it may not be. I was an engineering major, but I ended up turning into nonprofit. Um, and that worked out for me. So if you were to think about one career path, industry, or role that could align with your purpose and passion, what would that be? Let's use the Menti poll. Healthcare. Awesome. Fashion, beauty. That's fun. Healthcare consulting, entertainment, creative researcher, music store, fashion. We have some other fashion people, real estate, engineering, performing arts. Management consulting. We got one more healthcare person that turned a different color. So awesome, awesome. I can share that, all these things that you have mentioned are great ways for you to do many different things that you may like in terms of finding your passion. There's a way for you to have impact in every single one of these things that you have put here. And so that's great that you have thought about it and can be able to identify where your passion is and where you want your purpose to live. We have a data analyst, business analyst, project management, product management, and data sciences. Lots of ways to use analytical skills, leadership, and problem solving all in one in those things. So that is awesome. I want to see if there was one more that comes up. All right. So I just want to take a moment to level set. So we've talked a lot about, your passion and your purpose and your calling and how you can discover those things to find happiness in your career. But I also want to let you know that if you're sitting in this presentation today and you're still not sure, it is okay. And also it's okay to still be in discovery mode. Most of the times we think life is very linear, like at the top of this diagram here, where you have a goal, you have a plan, and you get there. There may be some people who are in school with you right now who may know exactly what they want to do for the rest of their career, and they have a plan and a goal to get there. But I'll be honest with you, there are so many individuals who do not know that. I am one sitting right here with you, and that is okay. Life is really about being able to navigate, the highs and the lows. There will be opportunities where you will be challenged and learn and grow and stretch. There will be opportunities where you will find fulfillment in everything that you do. And so take those moments to always be reflective and to use that as an opportunity for you to continue to define your why. What is the impact that you want to make? There's never a timeline on, and your parents may not like that I say this, but there's never a timeline on when you have to have it all figured out. There are some people who didn't figure out or didn't land in where they are right now until later in their life. Again, I was in my, 30s when I figured out what I wanted to do. You have people like Vera Wang, who is, very famous wedding dress designer. She didn't start designing her first dress until she was 40. Or even Viola Davis, famous actress who's been in, many different things. I think she's an EGOT. And so she, her acting career didn't take off until her mid 40s. It's okay. Um, do not put a lot of stress and pressure on yourself to have it all figured out. Again, life is a lot about learning, enjoying the journey, and figuring out how to be curious and trying new things. You may find that you think you're passionate about one thing and you go into it and you discover it and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't like this. So, for example, when I was in business school, there were two things I was interested and I was passionate about. But once I tried them, I realized I didn't really like it so much. And that was okay because that allowed me to get that experience so that I can, continue to refine and shape what drove me. And so that's how I was able to land where I am today. So, um, again, it's okay to be in discovery mode. Most of your life is in discovery mode, and just remember to enjoy the journey along the way. So we're going to take a moment to do some journaling. You can use, a piece of paper, you can use your notes app, whichever one you feel comfortable with. And we're going to take a few minutes for you to think about the prompts that are on your screen. So you have a few questions. The first is, what makes you feel most alive? What problems fire you up? What compliments do you always hear? And what is something that you can do without much effort? So we'll take about 3 to 4 minutes on these questions. And then once you're done, I am going to ask two people to please feel comfortable with being able to speak up and share um, what they journal, or, put in the chat with something surprising that you found from this reflection opportunity. So we'll jump back in at about 5:10. All right, so we've had a little bit of time to do that journaling. And I just want to ask if there are, let's see if we can get at least two people who feel comfortable coming off mute and being able to share something that you discovered from this exercise.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I discovered was that one of the surprising things I discovered was that, oh, I'm sorry, I was kind of looking at what I wrote.
I can
One of
hear
the
you.
things I discovered was that other people tend to notice that I'm really good at creating things more than I do. Sometimes I'm not so confident in my own creative abilities. But one of the things that people tend to tell me is, you're so creative at multiple different things. So that stood out to me.
Awesome. And what did you, when we had the Menti poll earlier, and you talked about, the career that you're, thinking or you're interested in, what did you say?
I said the creative researcher one.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Research is so amazing, and you get to, I mean, there's so much, just the creativity and the way that you can navigate certain questions and the discovery of different things in research. You can go down, all kinds of little bunny holes by being very creative when you think about research and, just the questions that you can come up with and the different things that you discover you want to know and learn more
Yeah,
about.
exactly. Like,
That is an excellent way to be creative, to think differently about, how you can approach a research, whether you're researching women's history, something, and just all the different paths that you can take with that. That's all leaning into your creativity. So I love that. Thank you for sharing, Destiny.
yes, you're welcome. I really enjoyed it. It's fun.
Good. Is there anyone else who would like to share with us this evening? And
I
it's
can
okay
share.
if you want to put it. Oh, Tania, hi.
Oh, hi, it's Tanaya actually.
Tanaya.
Um, I'm not really surprised, but an insight I got was people tend to compliment me more than I compliment myself, and I don't necessarily receive it well in the terms of I like to see the results more than I like to see the praise.
You like to see the results, but do you like to see I lost you at the second part.
More than I like to receive the praise. I like to
The
see what
praise.
it does minus, oh, you did this so well. I really like this, that, or the third.
Okay. So you like to make things happen and you don't have to get the praise for that, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. So what did you put in terms of, the career that you're considering?
I put entertainment.
Entertainment. There are individuals who are more than okay with being the one who can do things and make things happen and not receive all of the accolades for it. Recognition is not something that's important to everyone, and that's okay if you're that way. And so what I would encourage you to do is to lean into that ability to be able to get the results and get things done and have that impact, because that's where you can find something that will fulfill you in terms of your passion and even your career. And so moving in entertainment, there are lots of ways to have results. That industry is always changing. And so, when I think about particularly me when I was in media, and just the change that happened between one of the projects I worked on before I went to business school was when everything, and you guys probably have no idea what this means, when everything was moving from like SD to high definition. That was a huge change and a big result that came for the entertainment industry. And so there will be lots of opportunity for you to make and navigate and make things happen, and not having to receive the accolades, and that's fine. So keep leaning into that, wanting to make a difference. That sounds like something that may be your purpose right there, wanting to make a difference. So make a note of that. Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that, you two. I do appreciate it. And so I'm just going to give you a few more tools um, for you to be able to practice. So those journal prompts that we just walked through are great ways for you to think about your passion and your purpose. Um, you may take a moment after this presentation and just reflect on the things that we talked about, look at the recording, and write those things down. Always keep a journal of your thoughts and things that you may have throughout the day as well. And so journals don't have to be anything that's like a written. It could be your notepad and your phone, however you want to do that. Exploratory conversations are a great way to figure out different things. um, it's always good to be curious. Being able to talk to different people about things. If you're interested or you're considering consulting or you're considering, research or product management, who are people who you can talk to that currently do those things? And getting an understanding from them on what that is like for them. If you're interested or you're passionate about being able to make a difference, ask them how they feel they're making a difference in those areas that you're interested in. And so I know through your schools, there are excellent alumni networks. So you can tap into that to be able to have those exploratory conversations with individuals so you can learn a little bit more. Also, passion projects. These can be things that allow you to test out more or less things that you believe you're passionate about or that you're interested in. It could be, joining different organizations on your campus, even in an area that you are totally unsure, or committees or within your organization. So you could sign up for the marketing committee, or you could sign up for you can be in a leadership role to understand if that is something that you really enjoy. When I think about, again, my experience when I was at business school, I did my internship in technology marketing and I did a project in HR, and that allowed me to understand and to see that I really wasn't as passionate about both of those things as I thought I was. And so those are great ways for you to explore. Think about your internships as well. That could be a great opportunity for you to pursue and to discover also. One other tool that I'm going to share with you, and I know some people have different feelings about AI, but AI is a great tool. If you've been using AI a lot, it has learned a lot about you. And so you've made it smart. It knows who you are. It knows things about you. And so you can use AI as a reflection or even an idea partner. Um, there are a couple of different prompts that you can try and you can brainstorm with AI. You can ask them, what career paths can help me if I'm interested in these things? I like to do this and that. What might a career for me look like? And help me reflect on my values. Or maybe even start it out and say, so much about me. I'm trying to discover my career. What would you suggest for me based on my career? There are so many different ways to do that. It's not to take the place of a career coach, but definitely you can use AI to brainstorm and to help you figure out different ways as well. I want to share with you a few books and recommended reads. There are quite a few on this list, but I will share with you my personal favorites that have helped me and that I got the most value out of. It was Designing Your Life. Great book. It comes with the workbook that was able to I was able to answer questions and really think about my life in whole. For that, Start with Why is a great book because it talks about, sometimes we get to the answer without getting to the why, without starting with, why are we doing this and why do you want to make a difference? And so that's a great book. And then lastly, The Renaissance Soul. It's just a good way that, it talks about all the things that I shared with you before about being curious and using, experiences to allow you to be able to shape your path in life. And so those are some recommended reads that I would share with you. This will be in the presentation that's sent to you as well. And so I will end here. So this is one of my favorite quotes. I know in this presentation, we focus a lot on the future and thinking about what things that we want to do. But this quote really talks about being present and being open to what is happening to you in the current moment. And so sometimes I am very guilty of always thinking about the next thing and what's on my goal and, how do I want to accomplish this and what do I want to move, do next, that I forget to focus on what's happening right now. And so one of the ways to be able to think about, your purpose and your passion and really get grounded in terms of what those things mean to you is to be open to what's happening right now. What's giving you joy? What is something that you don't like? What is something that you're very passionate about? How can you be more curious and discover more? And so definitely take the moment to be present in today, enjoy today, and everything will figure itself out. You will get there in the end. And so with that, I wish you well. I want to give a thanks. This is my contact information here. You can find me on LinkedIn, my email, my website. I want to check and see if there are any final questions before we wrap up.
I did have a question. I just can't come off of the camera. Sorry for about that. Um, when you ultimately decided what you wanted to do, how did you have like the support system for that? Because I feel like sometimes I bounce between different ideas, but it's hard to explain to like family and stuff because they want you to like obviously get a job right after like college. And I want to have like something that's stable, but I also want to make sure that I have something that's also like challenging me and like still kind of uh helping me grow at the same time and that I'm still learning within that job. Um but sometimes family doesn't understand that, and I feel like sometimes that is very detrimental to like what I ultimately want to do.
Yes, great question. So I had lots of courageous conversations with my family as I made all the swifts and all the changes, right? And I remember when I was leaving Cincinnati to return back to Atlanta, I thought my family was going to be so happy that I was moving back. But, P&G is a great organization and people go there and they never leave. And, one of the things that I had to remind my family when we had the conversation about me returning is that, at the end of the day, I will be okay. I'm trying to figure out my life, right? And the support that I could use is just for you to continue to inspire me and to support me in this journey. If I fail, please know that I will be able to find a way to get up and to make myself, find out the thing. But, life is all about being able to make changes and being comfortable with change. Even for the organization that I work for today, there is lots of change that is happening. And so there, is discomfort that comes in that change, but I have to be resilient through that. And so it's important to remind your support system that you are navigating change in your life. You're trying to figure out and discover what is going to make you happy, and you want to be happy. And I think your family wants you to be happy at the end of the day as well. And sharing that, it's important for you to be happy. So you have to make this change to be able to find your happiness. So that's what I would recommend. But again, it's a very courageous conversation. I will definitely say that. If you want to take my LinkedIn, we could talk more about it. Send me an email. We can definitely do that. I
Thank
did.
you.
You're welcome. There was a question about people going to business school without a defined career goal. Listen, that happens a lot. So when I went to business school, I think I wrote in my application that I wanted to do business development or like new product development or something like that. I didn't end up doing that at all. When I went to business school, I used that as an opportunity for me to discover what I'm interested in. I recognize that business school is also, a very expensive endeavor. And so what I would recommend is, to definitely have some level of understanding of your why in terms of why you want to go to business school. And so for me, why I wanted to go to business school was because I needed to supplement I feel that I needed to supplement my engineering degree to get more business knowledge. When I was in engineering school, I learned, I took a ton of math and science, but I did not take a lot of management courses, a lot of leadership courses. And so that was something that I was missing. And so for me, going to business school was a way for me to get that opportunity. But then also business school, people go because, sometimes they want to stay in the same career trajectory or they want to change. And so for me, I wanted to change, but I had about 3 different things that I was interested in. And so when I talked about, having those exploratory conversations, being able to do passion projects, I would use those as opportunities throughout business school for you to be able to really kind of define your career goal and figure out what you like. So when I was in business school, again, I wrote in my application, I thought I wanted to do new product development. I don't even remember how I came up with that, but I thought that's what I was interested in because I was interested in technology marketing. And so I also had an interest in HR. And so I was very intentional about being able to find out if I like both of those things. So I did my internship in technology marketing at Dell, and we had like what's called a multidisciplinary project where you get paired with a company. And I took that project in HR. And both of those experiences allowed me to see and to understand that I was not really interested in either of those at all. I liked marketing. And so that allowed me to do more consumer focused marketing. And so that's how I was able to do that. So use business school as an opportunity for you to do those exploratory projects, but definitely have your why for why you want to go to business school. So hopefully that helps there. And then, as a fellow Girl Scout, it's amazing to see you return. What inspired me to do so? So, what I'll share, there are quite a few pivotal moments in my life. So, when I was in undergraduate, and this is not as big of a problem as it is when I was in school. When I took many of my classes, I was one of the only women and probably one of the only women of color and person of color, I would say, in a lot of my classes that I took as well. And what I learned about, how to speak up and advocate for myself for that experience was something that I always kind of kept in my back pocket. Um, when I went to work at UPS, like I mentioned, at that time, it was a very male dominated organization. And I had to use that same toolkit from when I was in business, when I was in undergrad, to be able to advocate and to speak up for myself as a woman. And so what I realized was those are things that I'm passionate about. I also realized that I was getting a lot of my energy out of working for girl-focused organizations. So I was on the fund development committee for Girls Inc. I was volunteering with Girl Scouts. I did some work with our women's leadership group, and all of that was focused on girl and women empowerment. And from that, I said, this is where I'm getting my energy. Why not pursue that as a career? And so that is what led me to being here at Girl Scouts. I didn't initially make that jump. Like I said, I did that in that residency with the school district, but I ended up here. And this is where I've been. It'll be 10 years. I can't believe it, in February. And so being able to go back to an organization that I participated in as a young lady, and then working in something that I'm very passionate about. I think about our girls and what we do every day. That is something that I am very fortunate that I have been able to do that. And so that was my inspiration. What keeps me is my daughter. She is, a future Girl Scout. She's gonna grow up and do amazing things. And so that is what keeps me to continue to do this work. So thank you all very much for the kind compliments. I just want to make sure we don't have any other questions, that I know we're at time.
Oh, could you go back one slide over to the books that you recommended? I could
Yes,
take a screenshot. Thank you.
there you go.
And we'll be sure to send this to you all too. So
Oh,
you'll
okay, thank you.
get the recording, yeah, so you'll have it. All right. Looks like we don't have any more questions. What was your favorite book out of all of them? I think you mentioned it, right?
I would say I said three, but if I had to pick one, I would pick that Designing Your Life. Like I said, it's a workbook. I like activities, answering questions, discovering, being creative. Destiny, I know that's something that's important to you. That one is my favorite. It really talks about how to integrate your life around your career.
Awesome. It does sound like a great book.
Mhm.
Well, we are so grateful that you gave your time this afternoon to chat. This was a lovely presentation. I feel like I learned a lot as well, and thinking about revisiting some of the things you talked about. And so I want to thank you for joining us and speaking to our college students. But if anybody wants to connect, information is there, and we will definitely send out the recording. In a few days so that you'll have it. But if you need anything from us, just feel free to reach out. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.